L is for the way you look at me. V is for... Oh, I already fucked that up. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Intoxikated. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. To kick off the celebration for Valentine's Day this year, I have a special history treat that involves murder and the mafia. I'm talking, of course, of the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. During the 1920s, Prohibition was a big fucking deal. They made a law against it. Alcohol was illegal from 1920 until 1933. The problem with making alcohol illegal is that Americans love to fucking drink. Anything from bootlegging to speakeasies to just drinking it, moonshine, making it was all controlled by the mafia. Organized crime, baby. They fucking knew it was up. They knew Americans would do anything to get it. Illegal means and whatnot. So picture this, Chicago, 1920. Chicago at this time was separated by the North Side Irish gang and then the South Side Italian gangs. In 1929, the North Side Irish gang was ran by mob boss George Bugs Moran. The South Side Italian gang was run by notorious mob boss Alphonse Scarface Capone. That's right, our boy Al Capone has joined the story. And these two fucking guys were big rivals. Bugs Moran and Scarface Capone hated the shit out of each other. They were always like coming in on each other's territory. And this was like a Chicago violence thing. They were constantly like doing hits, killing people. Deliveries weren't making it on time. Shipments would go missing for both sides. Our boy Al had said a couple of times, all I need to do is get rid of Bugs Moran and the Italians will run all of Chicago. So the morning of February 14th, 1929, Bugs Moran got a phone call about a shipment of Canadian whiskey coming into one of his factories. 2122 North Clock Street in the Lincoln Park neighborhood. I really worked on this Chicago fucking accent, so you're gonna have to deal with it. Moran had 7 of his guys already go to the warehouse ahead of time to make sure that they were there to receive the shipment. And Bugs Moran himself was going to come later on. On approaching, coming up to the warehouse, Bugs Moran had noticed a Chicago police car kind of doing laps around the neighborhood. So to ease tension, because the Chicago PD knew who the fuck Bugs Moran was, he decided to stop at a coffee shop and just kind of like settle down and just wait it out. At this time, witnesses had reported seeing 2 uniformed Chicago police officers walk into 2122 Clark Street. They were accompanied by 2 men in street clothes with Thompson submachine guns. Now, when I say street clothes, I'm not talking fucking street clothes, okay? I'm not talking what you wear to go to Meijer for the day. I'm talking, they were dressed to the nines. They had suits on, they had the long fucking winter coats on, and they had these Tommy guns with them. So then the cops had went into the building and lined up all 7 of Moran's boys that were in the warehouse. The men, thinking that these 2 men were cops, they obliged with what they said. They lined up against the walls, they gave them their weapons, thinking it's just a normal shakedown. And also they were like, we're in the fucking clear, because the whiskey hadn't even gotten dropped off yet. It was then when the 2 men in street clothes and the Tommy guns walked into the fucking room and opened fire, spraying left to right against these 7 men. 70 rounds were fired from these Tommy guns. That's 70, right? 70 rounds were open fired. Left to fucking right. 2 shotgun blasts were then heard last. That was the last thing that witnesses had heard, were 2 shotgun blasts. And the shotgun blasts that were heard had then obliterated the faces of John May and James Clark, 2 men that were involved with the Moran gang. To give the impression that everything was under control, the 2 men in street clothes exited the warehouse with their hands up, followed by the police officers. Witnesses had said, those are the same fucking guys, but also what the fuck is going on here? The only survivors of the warehouse massacre that had just taken place were John May's German Shepherd dog, Highball, which is what they called him, and Frank Gunzenberg. He was also a member of the Moran gang. Even though Frank had 14 bullet holes in him and was still conscious at the hospital, when Chicago detectives had asked him how he got shot, what happened at the warehouse, the only words that Frank Gunzenberg had spoken was, no one shot me. And he died about 3 hours later at the hospital. A true gangster till the fucking end, dude. Frank Gunzenberg. The massacre that took place, and you can look up photos of it, it is pretty graphic. It's just blood everywhere. It's just the 7 men. It is believed that Capone's lookouts had mistakenly thought James Clark was Bugs Moran because they were the same height, build, and they were wearing very similar clothes that morning. And as it was stated before, Bugs Moran was in the neighborhood, just stopped at a coffee shop to avoid this. When Al Capone was questioned about the events that occurred on the morning of February 14th, he claimed to have been in Florida. He was like, I was in Florida, I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. So they literally had nothing on Al Capone because a boss never does the fucking hit, okay? The boss never does the hit. The crime is still unsolved to this day. There were rumors that the 2 policemen were probably in fake uniform. Other rumors were suggested that the crime has never been solved because Al Capone had paid off the Chicago PD. Al Capone also paid off judges, paid off lawyers, paid off the Chicago PD. He was that fucking powerful, and I want people to realize that. Like, when you think of Al fucking Capone, I mean, everybody thinks of Al Capone as Al fucking Capone, but he was also big fucking mafia deal. You know, he's like, yeah, I'm in Chicago, but I'm from Brooklyn, New York, okay? Have you heard of the fucking 5 families? He's like, yeah, I'm about to take over Chicago. That's what it was. And he wanted to get rid of the Irish North Side gang because that would open up the market for the Italians to run fucking Chicago. Al Capone himself was arrested for tax fraud eventually, but was never connected to the massacre or any other hits that had ever occurred, including when he went to Eastern State Penitentiary and he had his own fucking private cell. It was reported that he was still making hits from the inside. It was also reported, I mean, he did have syphilis, so his mind was going, but it was reported that even from his jail cell, he would be screaming that the ghost of James Clark, one of the men that was brutally killed and then had his face blown off by a shotgun, had been haunting him. The ghost of James Clark would show up in Al Capone's jail cell and be like, what the fuck? Why the fuck did you kill me? And reports were that Al Capone would be shouting, get away from me! Get away! I think it's absolutely nuts that this case is still unsolved. So the next time that you celebrate Valentine's Day with a significant other, I hope that you think about the gruesome massacre that took place that day. And I don't know, maybe try to solve it. That'd be like a fun game, you know? Try to solve the crime because clearly no one else fucking can, I guess. That's all from me. Cheers. And don't forget to like and subscribe.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.